My new book is out, and I've got several coming out this year, but this is a new book. We just got it in. Many of you that pre-ordered it on Amazon, you got it. I know what was going on. I was in the preaching, and I kept getting tagged in folk talking about church clothes. I'm like, Lord, what's going to happen now? And but it was people who was getting their books from Amazon. This is my book. I've written a book on grace, and so I'm going to be sending this book to pastors, churches, and ministries that need to change their paradigm on what's important to God, that holiness is not what you wear, but if you're holy, you're cautious about what you wear. So I got some things in here about church rules and culture, but it's about the grace of God. It's about deliverance. It's about appearance. So it really emphasizes that holiness is not what you see on a Sunday. So it's a powerful book. I got some stuff coming out this year on prayer, on the prophetic, a lot of other things, but this is the first of that. It's my book on grace. It's called Church Clothes, and so I want to get it. We have some. We're going to have some in the bookstore, but we've got them here. They're physical, and they're going to be amazing. Thank you so very much. All right, join me, if you will, at 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12, and I'm going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 12 all the way through to verse 26. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 26. We're starting a brand new series this month, and the name of the series is Summer Body. We're talking about summer body. And we're not talking about keto and koto. Okay, we're talking about summer body. How many of you feel like your life was perfect before people came into it? Problem with leadership is people. Problem with love, people. Problem with life, people. Problem with your job, people. Problem with your church, people. We have people problems. And it is important to me that we center ourselves around the fundamental truth that God loves people. And it seems real simple and real basic, but I know thousands of anointed, called, powerful, influential people who don't know how to interact with people. You would be surprised at how many executives, how many singers, how many preachers preach to a condition that they know nothing about. And so it is on the heart of God that we do better with relationships. Say amen. Amen. But you're not going to do better with relationship if you don't learn some fundamental things about people. We've got people issues. And before you have friendship issues and mentorship issues and romantic issues, there's some things you need to know fundamentally just about people and about the human condition. And so we're digging into that, calling it Summer Body, and the motive is to teach people how to biblically interact with other people. I'm concerned about our friendships, and I'm concerned about those of you that burn them out by expecting every friend you have to understand everything about you. And the way you approach it is, if you're going to be my friend, you got to be friend to all of me. And that's why you always have no friends. It's because friends have certain capacities. I have certain low capacity friends. I have certain high capacity friends. Everybody, and they could be a real friend and not know how to handle certain areas of you. So you need to discern your friendship capacity around you, and not always call yourself cutting off or getting mad at or punishing people who just don't understand certain parts of you, okay? So that is a people problem, a people problem. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12, in the English Standard Version, it says, "For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all were made to drink of one spirit." Verse 14 says, "For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less part of the body. Verse 17 says, if the whole body were an eye, for those of you churches where everybody's a prophet, if the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? Verse 20 says, as it is, there are many parts. Say many parts. Many parts. Open your mouth. Say many parts. Many parts. But one body. 21, here's where we get into some juice. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. That term indispensable means irreplaceable, absolutely necessary. And on those parts of the body, pay attention, that we think less honorable, we bestow the greater honor. And our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which our more presentable parts do not require. But God so composed the body, giving what? Greater honor to the part that lacked it, that there be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. Because if one member suffers, I said if one member suffers, I said if one member suffers, all suffers together. But if one member is honored, all rejoice together. Father, help me to preach this in Jesus' name, amen. Just for the sake of hearing and the sake of our time together, we're calling this, let's stay connected. Let's stay connected. The silence in the room is paramount to the dysfunction in the room. Grab somebody, say at all costs, stay connected. I'm a student and an alumni of James McCosh Elementary School. It is now known, what's going on? It is now known as Emmett Till. And I remember crossing over out of James McCosh, going to Chicago Vocational School, which at the time was Chicago Vocational Career Academy. They was trying to be sophisticated and go say, we ain't CVS no more, we CVCA, appreciate you. And I had a traumatic experience in both of those academic environments. I didn't go to, I went to Christian college, and so I didn't have that experience there. But during my tenure in elementary and high school, I had a traumatic experience. And the name of the traumatic experience was biology. I am tough. I got a pretty hard punch. My grandmother taught me how to do push-ups. I've had an abnormal childhood. So I grew up with a relative amount of militism in my life. When I walked into the lab to see a bunch of dead pigs and dead rats, I immediately turned into a 2-year-old girl. Nothing in me wanted to be around, wanted to engage. The irony of this is that I love horror movies, bind me if you will. I prefer movies that have something to do with killing people. I do not like movies about falling in love. I don't like chick flicks, so they be like brown sugar and all that. I'm totally not interested in any of that. I prefer to watch gore. I just don't want to touch it or smell it. I can't stand it. And I remember in 8th grade and then again in my freshman year when I did it in 8th grade, I thought it was done. They forced me to go into this room and to do something called dissect. And the interesting thing about this was they were talking to me and teaching me about the human anatomy, but they were using a smaller microcosm of a different species to show me that all connection is the same. They were saying if we dissect a rabbit, if we dissect a cat, if we dissect a fish, if we dissect a frog, you're gonna find a few congruent categories of life flow and life function. Say yes. That no matter who or what you are, you got a heart and you've got a head. Just stay with me now. And so I stayed in there and I ended up dissecting the pig, and when I opened the pig up, in both instances, man, nothing was clear. I remember looking at what I thought was one organ and it wasn't. And I remember looking at another organ and I thought it was not. And what I realized then was the lesson that really brought me into some strong investigation of the word body is, in the body, there is nothing more and nothing less but a bunch of perfectly functioning systems. Your brain is a system. Your stomach is a system. Your digestive tract, GI tract, your bones are a system. And a part of what a system demands is sequence. Just say amen. Just say with me. A part of what that means is that in order for the system to work, there's got to be things that are functioning by their placement during their job to function. If, for example, one of these things do not function, it compromises the functionality of the whole thing. And so I learned in biology that the body or life or existence is the direct byproduct of networks and systems or connections that work together. Say, stay connected. I also learned that death, dis-ease, I also learned that infection was the byproduct of some degree of inflammation or restriction that prohibited the system from being connected. So whether it's diabetes, whether it's gout, whether it's cancer, whether it's a high blood pressure, irrespective of what the malady is, the root of it is something has impacted the healthy connection to it. If you consider cancer, the birthplace of any cancer is a rogue cell. In other words, a cell in one of the functions of your body decides to rebel. Scientists call it genetic mutation or malfunction. It was designed to operate one way and made a genetic decision to operate another way, and it causes and it creates a tumor around it for its escape. How many of you know when somebody is rogue in the body, they are a cancer? I didn't hear you. I said, how many of you know when you ain't got nobody that's connected to you, nobody to report to, nobody around you, you are an infection. Because a part of what you do is you make sure everything around you stays just as disconnected as you. Look at somebody, say, stay connected. And so it's interesting how this thing actually works. I studied the intravenous system and why it's more efficient when you want to heal something quickly that you put it in the vein. I want to tie this to a principle and I'm going to preach my point. If old covenant law is true, you don't get healed. Woo-hoo. You don't get clear. You don't get relaxed. You don't get focused. You don't get stronger. You don't get pivoted any other way than the blood. You see, if old covenant law be true, then the Bible said that God put life in the blood. So the science of sin is blood related. I'm going to preach because I want to. Your members only sin because of what's in your blood. The members manifest the science of the blood. This is why in old covenant law, there had to be the shedding of blood to make account for sin, because what they were life exchanges. You would offer something that would bleed out because of what was going on in your blood. So they would call a sin or a trespass offering, but it was all blood related. It makes perfect sense that God, through Jesus Christ, would have to shed his what? Blood, because he was shedding his life so you could have one. Say, stay connected. So all of our issues are blood related. Your strongest wars are blood related. Your strongest inner conflicts ain't got nothing to do with Nettie, Betty, George, Joe, Jim, John, or Calvin. It has everything to do with something irregulated in your blood. This is why it takes the blood to make us the body. You see, without the blood of Jesus, we have no basis of connection. Just stay with me. And without the blood of Jesus, we have no reason to connect. So what then is our reason for connection? It's another R word. The reason for our connection is our redemption. We are redeemed to be connected. In the book of Genesis concerning the Tower of Babel, there is a story about a people who had not known what it was to have different opinion and different language. And in this story, the Bible says that these people came together and decided, we're going to build a tower all the way to God. And the Bible said they almost succeeded. So this is the birthplace of Spanish and Ebonics and Patois and French and all of the language, Afrikaans, and all of the beautiful languages that make up the way the human species articulates itself. The beginning of it was a oneness that was unstoppable, a connectedness that could not be preventable, not even by angelic beings. God had to stop their progress, because if they kept going, they were going to be able to interfere with divine arrangement because of their connectedness. No wonder why the devil's favorite tactic is division. I can do a whole lot to a people that don't know how to connect. I can do a whole lot to a people that's sneaky, lying, dishonest, condescending, and to themselves. I can do a whole bunch to a people that's struggling to find their place. Point number B. B ain't a number, but I made it once, so shut up. Your greatest warfare, I'm talking to you, is going to be around finding, embracing, and reconciling with your place in the body. If you really review and evaluate your journey, the people in any ministry, in any church, in any business that cause the most problems are out of place. The devil uses out of place people to contribute to problems about the place. You see, because when you are in a place, you occupy yourself with the responsibilities, the routines, and the practices of that place. So what the devil works to do in a number of ways. Number one, through you mentally. Number two, through you relationally. Number three, through you emotionally. He's not just working to make sure you don't finish a class, and he's not just working to make sure you don't come to every conference. He's working to make sure that you can't settle your thinking and settle your beliefs and settle your fears to ever find your place. So then what happens is, when people look like or appear like they're in a place, if I'm out of my place, I have a problem with yours. So because you look confident in what you do, and because you look appreciated in what you do, and because you're not insecure about what you do, I've got to find a way to demonize you, because I can't stand looking at you in your place while I'm still trying to figure out where. Thank you for all 10 of you that clapped. Placement is how purpose operates. Connection is where you get courage from. I love how the Apostle Paul begins to talk this apostolic anatomy. Are you ready for this? I'm about to tell you something deep. If you're going to be an apostle, you're going to have an apostolic church, you got to know body ministry. You got to understand body ministry. And what that is understanding people in the right place, under the right pressures, producing power. You got to understand what it is to have men moving around when they've outgrown one place and got into another place. There are some consistent themes in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 that I've got to drive home to you. Theme number one, you will never be who's next to you. Ever. You can try, you can study, you can be mad about it. I'm working in here. You can be envious about it. You can be bitter about it. Do you understand? The Bible talks about a root of bitterness. You know what I learned the other day while studying for this? Every tumor has a root. I never knew that tumors had roots. When you dig and try to remove a tumor, if you don't get the root, it's going to become a repetitive issue. No wonder why so many bitter people are sick all the time. They may deal with the outside of it and look like they're okay, but the root, Lord have mercy on the inside. I said the root, good God, from Zion. I said the root, my God, McDonald's. The root is still. You'll never be the person next to you. And if you don't do something to resolve that, although you are a hand, you can study how to be an eye, you can Google how to be an eye, you can even come up here and say, lay hands on me. Because here's the principle. I can't impart to you something God didn't give you. And I can't impart to you something you were not designed to be. And if your discontentment is because you ain't them, then the real problem you got ain't with me, it's with God. There's a lot of people in this building that's mad at what he made you. I'm just a deflection. Don't blame me because he didn't give you the equipment for what you want to do. You got to know what it is to be made as one member and not a whole lot. Second observation. You were born. Listen to me, because I'm going to cut you in a minute. You were born. I appreciate all of this Superman, superhuman, you can do anything, you put your mind to it talk. That stuff works best to people with low self-esteem. When you're honest, I'll preach it next week. I was supposed to give it to you this morning. You don't rejoice in nothing like your flaws. Now that's countercultural because you millennials are listening to people hypnotize you about how wonderful you are. And then when you feel that little thing on your neck called depression, you automatically want to kill yourself because you spent more time showing us what was right with you because you're not reconciled about what's wrong with you. Stop somebody say, I'm flawed, I'm flawed, I'm flawed. You got to flaunt the flaw like you flaunt everything else. I'm no longer trying to hide that something's wrong with me. Be okay with the fact that I'm flawed and anointed. Flawed and in power. Flawed and still got a purpose. My second observation is this. In this revelation of members, not only do you see the ability, say yes, say put your weight on it. Not only do you see the ability, but you also see the limitation. An eye cannot hear. And an eye can be a healthy eye and still cannot hear. We were so busy looking at the individual capacities and the individual functions and potentials, but even at the strongest of an eye, it ain't an ear. Part of what that means is your design comes with limitation. And we are in a culture that only teaches you to be proud of, to be public about, to shout and dance over what you're able to do. But when you cross over to another realm of maturity, I know what I'm able to do. What I'm grateful about now is what I don't want to do. I don't want to be you. I have no desire to have your calling. I'm struggling to stand under mine so you can have all of that you do. I'm learning how to resolve my stuff because I love my limits. Hey, hey, hey. I said I love my limits. I love my limits. I love my limits. And if that don't feel good to you, you have another series of fundamental issues, which is that you think you can be valued and have limits. Say limits. Open your mouth, say limits. You must, in the revelation of connectedness, learn to love your limits. You hypocrite, you. How dare you write a book about your strengths? Build a conference about your strengths. Get a product around your strengths. Here is my third observation. Inhale, exhale. The reason why you don't connect is because you do it around your strengths. Men, women, rib cages, spines, hips, shins, foots don't connect at places of strength. Watch me. They are all connected at places of emptiness. So if you're still mad about the fact that you got an emptiness, what you not realize is that's the door for your connection. We connect then even when I try to connect to you, it's not going to work or last, because you are not connected to people at the place or the point of your strength. The headship ministry. In the context of this church, it's me. In the context of your home, it's your husband. In the context of your business or whatever you do, it's you. The head has a lot of pressures on it. I said the head has a lot of pressures on it. I got a couple more issues. I said the head has a lot of pressures on it. And I feel bad for those of you simpletons that can't wait to be the head. You have no clue what you're asking for. The heart has 4 chambers, but the head has 4 hemispheres that has to handle congruent activity, and it never sleeps. Your head does not go to sleep. That's where the visions are born. You know how you can dream? It's because while you're physically asleep, your head is still working and processing things. Do you realize that it's your head? Your head is the only system in your body that has to have relationship with every system in the body. So the head has to talk to the toe, and the head has to talk to the heart, and the head is the only part of you that has relationship to every part of you. Therefore, when your foot fall asleep, or you get a Charlie horse, or one muscle malfunctions, the head is how it unfigures its way out. You don't want to be a head. Trust me. Eat yourself. You don't want the type of pressures of restlessness, of trying to remember, of taking on the blood trauma of everything that comes from you in a body. There are 2 things that can get hit and kill the whole thing. If I walk up to you right now and cut your arm off, you'll live. I can even castrate you and remove your ability to bear children, and you will live. There is a chance that you could break your back. I've seen people that's done it. And with the right measures, you can live. There are only 2 things that can be impacted in a body that'll kill it: the head and the heart. 2 things. If the devil can get your head or get your heart, the whole body is out of here. This is why the body of Christ has got to repent. Let me say my office for helping the devil kill your head. You Negroes are synonymous with joining with folk, partnering with folk to stress your head out. But if the head ain't right, the body's going to die. Slap somebody, say, help the head. Your limitations. Okay. In your skeletal system, say stay connected. I'm almost at your point. In your skeletal system, the head is also the central administration point for your spine. Your spine becomes a support for your rib cage, and the purpose of your ribs is not to show your abs. The purpose of your rib, listen, is to protect vital organ. The whole point of vital organ is to make sure that the blood stays as clean as it needs to be. I got a point. I'm going to holler in about 10 minutes, but I've got to work this through technically. The mechanic of this operates like this. If you have critical functioning organs, liver, kidney, stomach, all of that, they are working to produce things that keep the blood pure. A part of what that means is that all disease, do your homework, all disease comes because of inactivity, wrong activity in the blood. Your muscularity, even your strength is blood related. What I've got to do is work the muscles so that they rip and tear. And then what happens is blood fills the muscles and they call engorge and they get bigger than what they're supposed to be. So even your strength comes from the blood. I'll holler there in a minute. But the head now administrates the relationship between the spine, which is the backbone of everything else that covers the thing, keeping the blood clean and keeping the blood well. That's what the point of the purpose of the rib cage is. However, if the back gets hit, then you can become paralyzed. Part of what that means is that you can be alive and you can look and have some degree of consciousness but can't move. You can want to move and can't. You can imagine yourself moving and cannot move. So now we see one body, and the least thing, the thing that Paul never mentioned, was skin. It's interesting that pigmentation or flesh, was never revealed in Paul's anatomical release of the revelation of the body. He never talked about flesh at all. In fact, a part of what he said was the parts about you that are least comely. The translation is the things about you that reproduce, your birth organs. They're supposed to be covered the most. Watch me. Which means in a revelation of body ministry, anything called to reproduce has got to be called to be covered. And it means that if it's trying to be reproduced without being covered, it's lewd and lascivious behavior. You can have a lewd ministry, a lewd book, a lewd project. If you out here reproducing, but you ain't out here being covered, it's lewd. I know you don't like it. It's lewd and lascivious behavior. If don't nothing need to be covered, it's the things that's responsible for intimacy. If don't nothing need to be covered, it's the things that's responsible for creating the contract in covenant. You got to cover the thing that reproduces. I did all of that to show you, you have an individual, every body part of yours has an individual ministry to the whole. Certainly as an eye, you feel like you're not as important as the finger unless you're a different color eye. And certainly if you are a foot, you don't feel like you get as much shine as the hand. But a part of what you got to realize is if everything is mad about what they are, then the whole suffers in their mobility. All right? Can I get to the bottom line of this? The message of this, here's my sermon. The message of 1 Corinthians 12, at the veneer of the text, Ricky, it's about gifts. If you look at the second level or dimension of the text, it's about placement. But if you look at the core of this, which is my third observation, this is about need. 1 Corinthians 12 is about knowing what you need and being what you need. Now, you see why all of them hallelujahs and you better preachers went down to a holy hush? Because where you're losing, take a deep breath. Now exhale. You can't stand vulnerability. You hate to admit need. You would rather have a need and people not know it than to admit that you are in need and have people taking a superior posture around you because now we know you need. But here is where body ministry is. Whether you admit the need or not don't change the need, fool. You still got the need. And the worst part about this is if you don't acknowledge your need, listen, the longer that need goes unmet, you now go into denial. The psychology of this is if you don't get what you need over time, you convince yourself that you don't need it. And if you convince yourself that you don't need it, anything that situates itself in that emptiness gets there. That's how you end up in wicked relationships. That's how you end up in fornication. That's how you end up on drugs. You didn't listen to what your need was, and the devil came right on along and put on whatever outfit was appropriate to situate itself in your inability to be vulnerable. I'm working in here. Grown man Christianity is not being afraid to be vulnerable. Grown woman Christianity is not afraid to be vulnerable. If you have committed more to your appearance than your authenticity, you are one storm away from a nervous breakdown. You got to be okay with needing what you do not have. The message of 1 Corinthians 12, Paul is teaching this, and I'm paraphrasing this, and he's preaching, you need others. And you need others more than sitting by them. And you need more than how you can use them. And you need them more from what you can get out of them. Functionally, you need them. You are not your best you without the person next to you. You are not your real you without being connected at the real place. Now let's take a deep breath. I've got to bust the devil open to the white meat right here. The word of the Lord to you is you better guard your connections. Some of you people are around here being connected to all kind of wickedness, all kind of foolishness, and I can see the death in your eyes. You are backslidden and don't even know it because you refuse to sever ties with things that's not letting the blood flow. Things that's okay with bondage, things that's okay with bitterness, things that's okay with wickedness. You got to remove and disassociate because the devil is after your connections. There is warfare around your connections. You are only as whole as you are connected. You are only as mature as you are connected. Think about your relational circuits. The people with the lowest self-esteem have the poorest connections. They don't know how to connect. You try to talk to them, it's awkward. They got to coach themselves on asking you, what do you do? You got to pressure them to have normal relationships that don't welcome perversion into it. And the reason why it's all of that around there is because the devil knows the connection normalizes you. You're going to be a weirdo if you don't connect right. Connections have the power to cure character flaws. You got to have some connections that let things flow in and out of your life. Some connections that help you remember your limitations. When you think you're able to do more than what you should be doing, a connection will say, let me give you an example. You know what a headache is? It's a reminder that something is under too much pressure. And some of you need that kind of alarm to let you know, no, they're using you. No, you shouldn't be doing that. No. You got the right destination, but you're moving at the wrong place. I'm talking about connection, where we can come to the table and converse about health. Satan is after your connections. And it's crazy that that's the one area we hate hearing about. We love juicy stuff like boyfriend, girlfriend, I like you, you like me, circle. But we don't like talking about real covenant connections and the dangers of them. But Paul said in his epistle, don't be deceived. And he said, don't be deceived, and then follows it up with this, Apostle Monique, bad company corrupts good character. You cannot have good character with bad company around you. At some point, something's going to corrode. At some point, something's going to be brought down. At some point, the strength is going to be made a weakness. It's because of your connection. Embody ministry. Embody ministry. Embody ministry. Embody ministry. Once everybody finds their place, resolves it, reconciles with it, assigns themselves and commits to it, then the whole point of every functional system of the body is the flow of blood. That's it. Your brain is sending signals to every department in your body, saying, make sure it flows. Make sure it flows. Your heart is not beating for the sound. It's beating to make sure that based upon your height, I bless your name, based upon your weight, based upon your strength level, that the blood flows. It's so powerful. Kenny, do you know your food, the reason you're supposed to eat a certain way is so that it can now be converted into the flow of blood. Even your oxygen intake, the reason you sleep better when you're around a lot of trees and a lot of green, and when it's raining, it's not a magic mystery. It's changing the rhythm of the blood flowing. What I'm concerned about with the body of Christ is there are certain areas that the blood's not flowing because the body is out of whack. You got hands trying to be eyes, and eyes trying to be feet, and feet trying to be knees. And because of that, there are routes and ways and paths and peoples and types that the blood can't flow through. But when the body is in order, the blood can flow here, and the blood can flow there. The blood can flow in, and if you cut it, the blood will flow out. The reason why the blood flows out, watch me, is so that wound can close. I need the blood in, I need the blood out. I need the blood around, I need the blood about. I need the blood high, I need the blood low. I need the blood east, I need the blood west. I need the blood everywhere around me. I need the blood. What is the church if the blood ain't flowing? What is the gospel if the blood ain't on it? The law of Moses. But when the blood comes on it, I say when the blood comes on it, Jesus Christ regulates the flow of redemption because the body is functioning. It's about the blood. If you have a strength, something you're proud of, a reward, an award, a trophy, that area don't need the blood. Growing up, you would hear a song, the blood rushes to the place that it hurts the most. Do you know when you fall, literally, if you get a bruise, that is not skin discoloration. Immediately, once that blunt impact has hit any area of your body, the nearest blood, hallelujah, glory, I said the nearest blood. It's not the blood from here or there. If it's in this area, that's what the blood is. It literally, your heart, that's why when you fall and hurt yourself, your heart starts beating faster. It's because it's saying blood down there, hurry up and finds itself there so that there's no permanent impact. You may hurt, but take a Tylenol, it's going to still work. I just got to make the blood rush to the place that it hurts the most. But if you hide where it hurts, the blood can't rush there. Woo! Just tap three people, say, I need the blood, I need the blood. Look at somebody, say, give me a little more blood, I just need the blood. Come on, tap somebody else, say, I need the blood, I need the blood. Your advice is good, but it can't heal me. Your support is good, but it can't deliver me. Your presence is good, but it can't snatch me out. I need relationships that make the blood flow. I need preaching that makes the blood flow. Worship that makes the blood flow. Watch me, because if the blood flows, then I can grow. If the blood flows, then I can breathe again. If the blood flows, I can exhale, hey, and I can inhale. If the blood flows, I can jump, I can dance, I can leap through troops, hop over wall, I can do all of that. But if the blood don't flow, if and where the blood can't flow, something is out of place. There is an obstruction. That's what swelling is. There is a cancer. There is something that's in the way of the blood flowing. And for most of you, it's your own shame. You will never have deep relationships only relating to people who win the way you win. I'm a this. Oh, I'm a this. That's not connection. That's camaraderie. Listen, I have a lot of colleagues that I am not connected with. I understand them at the professional level. But preachers don't really like to be personal. So that's why they come to meetings and fellowships and brunches and dock you to death. Hey, doc, how many your number in doc? How many your own doc? Where'd your suit come from, doc? And they do all of that. Because a part of what that does is guard you from weakness. If I talk about statistics, and I talk about airplanes, and I talk about multi-siding, and I talk about dumb logos, and I talk about all of that, I don't have to talk about how pastoring has almost killed me. And I don't want you to know I'm weak, because really on the outside, you're my competitor. I would love to be where you are so we don't connect, even if we cooperate. You are not cured at the colleague level. You are cured through connection. So if you got an area in your life that is not cured, it's because there's no connection there. You got to find, and listen to the grace of God. God answers men through men. Inhale, exhale. Your answer is sitting next to you. If you ain't sleeping with them. God always answers men through men. Pay attention. If you show up in my life, say, put your weight on it, and I get more problems than what I had before you, I don't have to speak in tongues about who sent you. The environment is prophesying that you came from hell. And there's a lot of well-intended people that's been on assignment to make me look like who I used to be. But when you've been sent by heaven, I'm challenged, not competent. Oh God. I'm not confirmed. I'm redirected in my destiny. Nobody cares who you're comfortable with. What kind of punk relationship value is comfort? How dare you? How dare dare you? How dare you? Jesus, 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 man. Jesus was bleeding from the skull. Listen to me. After Gethsemane, he was already bleeding for days. You'll appreciate this, little theologian. There's a blood condition that happens when you exert so much energy. As Jesus was praying, he began to bleed. He prayed. He started the bleeding process already. For however many days it took for him to get to Gethsemane, to Calvary, he was bleeding already. So put your weight on it. He carries a several 100-pound cross on his back and is splintered, is walking, trying to bear that up the mountain with the help of an African-American man. It was not bloodless. He was bleeding there. He gets to the top of Golgotha and they begin to nail him. There's blood there. They do it to the other hand. Some say it was the hand, others say it was the wrist, because the hands would have bled open. I believe the Bible say the hand, so I'm going to say the hand. He began to bleed there. When he got up, he had several possibilities of death already. They started to lash him upon his back. For every category of disease known to man, there was one lash. They lashed him on his back. He could have bled out from kidney laceration through the back, but that wasn't enough. He's bleeding from the skull, he's bleeding from the hands, he's bleeding from the feet, he's bleeding from the back, and yet he holds himself there because there's one more place he's got to bleed from. There was enough blood from the back for you, but you couldn't be connected unless they pierced him in his side. And the next time we see him, he walks up not on the successor and not on the betrayer, he walks up on the doubter, the one that don't believe him, the one that don't believe the connection. Say, hey Thomas, I came back, I dealt with Peter, I already dealt with Judas, I'm gonna deal with John later, I'm coming back for the doubter. Put your hand in my side. He saw somebody who had doubts and made it a point to take his hand, put it in his open side, and the only thing the Bible writer says is that it was still warm. Do you understand how much he values connection? What it shows us is, I don't just want observation. I don't want you marveling at the fact that I got up on the third day. These were easy feats. I'm God. I want you marveling about how I can be so holy, sinless, spotless, know everything I want to know about you, and still choose to be connected to you. Put your doubts in this connection. Put your reservations in this connection. Put your inhibitions, your restrictions, your fears in this connection. Which means you're either going to be connected or you're going to be a coward. The math is simple. In every area of your life where you lack bravery or courage is because you lack connection. Your problem doesn't have to stay your problem. Your weakness, your issue don't have to stay it. The Lord designed you with those limitations so that that could be the opening for your connections. Everybody isolated goes crazy. It is not a mystery. You stay home in them musty closets. You stay home in that little ugly studio apartment with your little cat Fifi. You stay home and watch TV all day and eat Haagen-Dazs. Go ahead. In 20 years, you won't know your name. The worst torment of the human experience is solitary confinement. It's when people have to sit in dark rooms and be left to nothing but their mind. So in this month, we're talking about summer body. You've got to be honest about where you at with connection. And you got to be willing to hear that you might be connected to stuff that ain't good for you. Listen, just because they understand does not mean they were assigned. I'm looking in here, I feel a chill. Why I feel a chill in here? I said just because they understand don't mean they were assigned to you. Say, put your weight on it. Jesus walked around the streets of Cana, of Nazareth, of Galilee, of Judea, Caesarea Philippi, and all of the neighboring villages and towns. He healed the palsy. He spoke to deaf and dumb demons. He opened the blind eye. He opened the deaf tongue. He even cured a woman with an issue of blood. He certainly didn't have a uterus. He cast out demons of a man to a pig, resurrected the dead, saw withered hands come back. Let me ask you a question. How many times was Jesus blind? How many times was he deaf? How many times did he bleed out? How many times did somebody cast the devil out of him? Which means 90% of his ministry was spent ministering to people when he knew nothing about their journey. His knowledge of them was divine, but his experience was not the same. He didn't know what it was to be sick. Don't miss your healing locking people out just because they ain't walk where you walk. Don't miss your healing not opening up, because in your mind you'll never understand what it is to be molested, or you'll never understand what it is to be alone. You're married. Go ahead and all that pride and miss a lot of your healing and miss a lot of your restoration. I don't have to understand it. I've been assigned to it, and if I've been assigned to it, hey, I've been anointed for it. I don't gotta understand. Watch me. My understanding ain't what you want. What you want is my anointing, and if you miss it because of my personality, you're going to be the one that goes out. You had your father. I never knew mine. Can we continue the discussion? Grow up and stop letting this culture teach you connection. Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, Twitter, Christian Mingle, Black Planet, all that foolishness. It's giving you the appearance of connectedness. But the science of it is the more you pay attention to it, the less power you have to connect. If you do a study of digital minimalism, the reason you can't think like you used to is not because of your head, it's because of your thumb. And those they use the same technology as Las Vegas casinos. What they do is they know the lights from the screens can reorientate your brain and short circuit it. That's why you'll notice when you're spending more time on a computer, you don't have as much time for people, and your memory is impacted, which is why you don't read a book. It's teaching you not to connect by lying to you, acting that like you've been connected. Addict. The people that follow you the most are the ones that don't even like you. That's how they always got updates. You impressed now? How many followers you got? How many shares you got? You would really be arrogant if you knew how many people was watching and not sharing. Your ghost followers is the biggest audience. You need some digital minimalism so you can start to retrain your head to produce and to connect. You husbands and wives, when you go out to eat, both of you should not be looking at your phone. It's dysfunctional. You need to put that phone over here and do real life updates. Let me rebuke you. Just because you're sleeping with them don't mean you know them. Sex don't give you the truth about where the heart is. Look at how many people you slept with and didn't care about their heart. You can be in the same house with the same spouse and not have seen that change because you're letting sex be intimacy because you're too distracted to learn the change of the person. Not connected. Now, you don't need 10 friends. If you have them, God bless you. You don't even need 8. All you need is a good 3. I said all you need is a good 3. I said all you need is a good 3. Look at somebody, say, I got my 3. Turn to somebody, say, I got my 3. can have the 12 and the 12 can go to dinner. The 12 can debate the scriptures. The 12 can even go on a trip with you. But don't you be transparent with the 12. Judas is among the 12. And before you know it, they're going to use what you told them against you. But when you're ready to see through you, and you're ready to be translucent, and you want people to see you without your mantle, and without your ministry, and without your gift, and without your calling, wait till the 12 goes to sleep. Get on your phone and say, hey Peter, I want you to call James. Go and find John, and let's go up to the mountain. I love the 12, but I'm going to the top with the 3, and the 3 are going to challenge me. The 3 are going to change me, and in my absence, the 3 are going to represent me. Slap somebody, say, I got the 3. So you can have a nice relationship network, but work on that 3. I said work on that 3. I feel the glory of God. I said work on that 3. The 3 have got to go with you to the future. Now you had Peter in the 3. And Peter had a moment where he wasn't himself, and he denied Jesus. But when Peter came up to himself, Jesus was not moved by that offense, because rather than got mad, Jesus started to pray. He knew that Peter made a bad decision from a bad moment, so he was ready to forgive when he came back to the 3. That's not a liberty you extend to the 12. When people show you who they are, you got to believe them unless they're in the... I wish I had some help here. Y'all can do whatever you want to do, but the 3 have got to be the cluster where the new wine flows. The 3 have got to be the strand that's not easily broken. Why unto you who ain't got at least 3? When you have 1, you run the risk of falling in love with them. Be mad. My counselor told me to express myself. So I'm expressing myself to everybody all the time. I'm about to express myself to you. Those of you that only throw yourself into one relationship, it's going to turn perverse. Because what's going to happen is, and this don't have nothing to do with same-sex attraction or not, that thing will get in there if you only trust this one with your fears. There is wisdom in spreading it out so that you don't wear this one out, and if they get married or move on, they are taking their secrets into another season, and here you are looking simple because you only built one relationship and you didn't spread it out. They didn't leave you, you gave them too much. If you had 3, you could divide it. I wish I had help. You could put some fears here, some fears there, some fears there, and then if you go out your mind, let the 3 meet to find out how to pull you out. But if you only walk on one, that is not a friendship, it's a soul tie. I've had to, Lord, I'm out here now. I've had to tell several men, I am not your boyfriend. Don't come to me wanting me to be there for you. I'm not your wife. We're not about to be connected more than you connected to her. I'm not the holder of your seat. That's a paraclete. I'm your brother. Give me what she can't handle. I've had to tell several men in my life, I have a woman. I don't need multiple wives. I'm not a polygamist. I am responsible for managing the emotions of my helpmeet. I'm not going to be your husband. You're not there for me. You don't journey with me. I said, listen, young man. Baby, am I lying? I told him in the elevator, I said, listen, sir. Your wife been struggling to talk to you for years. You're not about to come in this elevator trying to hit me up talking about, Journey with me. No, you journey out this elevator while I journey out your life. I politely said, God bless you. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. I'm going to my woman and I'm about to make love all night because I'm not your husband, I'm hers. I wish I had somebody that appreciated the three. I'm not going to overwhelm just one. There's enough of me to go around. You need my... And it's not just men. I don't care if you don't like it. This is how some of you female relationships start feeling a little weird. Because you get this one and you be like, it's my sister. It's my friend. And then they get vexed with you because you're nuts. And they try to explore other friend groups. And you at home like Sister Evil in the dark. Messing with your mirror with lipstick because you're angry about friend groups. When you're connected, your connection with them ain't got nothing to do with your connect. Be friends with who you want to be friends with. I don't care. But when you're not really connected, and that one person put their hand there, you see them out with them, you're like, you cannot be on my squad and be with my adversary. First of all, lady, you're not that significant. Nobody's paying attention for you. You've not completed nothing in years. So for you to control who I can converse with is not a friendship. It's an ungodly, very toxic, unhealthy, lover-like soul tie. Y'all laughing, but I'm dead serious. You have to be connected, and you got to fight for your connections. One of the reasons why you don't have friends is because they really do take fighting. You have to endure for them. It does not mean you're going to agree. It does not mean you're not going to have seasons. It don't mean that things ain't going to change. In long-standing love, understanding grows. So the longer you're in relationship, the more you understand and the more you desire to understand. People are not going to understand at the beginning. Understanding is the fruit of connectedness. If I'm connected to you, then understanding is secondary. There's a lot of people in your life you don't understand. When your doctor look at you, you don't understand what they see. When your teacher's teaching you, you don't understand necessarily what they're presenting to you. So don't make understanding the premise. That's the habit of the lonely. That's the habit of the insecure. That's the habit of the unhealthy. You need connection. In connection, you can say this. I'm about to be honest. My counselor told me to express myself. I'm about to express myself. You need to be able to go to the phone, or however your structure is, and say, for 10 minutes, I'm going to barf. I'm about to vent and vomit. Correct me at minute 11. But let me say everything in my head. I wish y'all had somebody. If I don't say it to you, I'm going to say it to the wrong people. Or I'm going to type it, and I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. So is this too much for you? In your connections in body ministry, I'm going to use myself so that you don't feel guilty. I will tell a friend, hey, let me FaceTime you. I know you're busy. For 8 minutes, I'm about to cuss you out, but it's not for you. Baby, am I lying? From 2:30 to 2:40, I'm about to call you a bunch of stuff. I need you to sit on the recipient end of my frustration because I trust you to handle it. So he says, okay, go. And I just go off, you stupid, it is bad. I go from A to Z real, and it's good. You ought to thank my friends. It's them that keep me well by the time I get here. If I don't cuss them out, one of y'all gonna be a target. You got to know how to vent. Here's why. If you don't vent, listen, we'll only know the truth if you're angry. We gotta wait till you're mad or offended to find out how you really feel. So before it gets there, make a regular habit. It comes out sometime. Especially this year, I called a lot of people a lot of things. And I prayed, I said, God, take this thorn of cussing people out. It was a fervent inquiry. I said, Lord, please, I don't want to cuss at people no more. And Lord told me no. He said, my grace is sufficient. I'm not giving you permission to be profane. I'm giving you the right to be honest. Because in every area in your life where there's dishonesty, there is a disease. Your squad ought to be able to, listen, I'll close here. Your squad should be able to handle your honesty. Listen, before you get to amen, and I'll tell you in a clap. Should handle your honesty and convert it to truth. Whoever has ears, hear what the Spirit saith. Your honesty is not always truth. This culture got you thinking you got a truth, but you don't have a truth. You have an honest experience. That connection should be able to convert your honesty and make it truth. I'm just being honest. There's no healing in that. There's no hope in that. There's no transformation in that. That honesty has to be converted through conversation into truth. And ye shall know the truth. Then you get free. Without connection, you ain't got no engine to convert your views, your assessments, your judgments. I'm scared of people who don't like being wrong. And if I'm honest, I stay away from them. I'm most guarded with people who don't like being wrong because they will lie by all means so that you keep the image that they want of them in your head. Those people will stop at nothing. I really think that's how murderers are born. I really believe it. Because they lie so much and the truth is deathly afraid of them. So they don't want to be able to move that from honesty to truth. I don't like it. You win more brownie points with me. You know, when you walk up to somebody, Khalil, and say, hey, how you doing? Oh, I've been really before the Lord. He been speaking to me from the third realm. There was an angel named Agatha that came to me to speak Hebrew last night and gave me a recipe for healing. What I do is this, amen. Something, my counsel told me to express myself. Something in my head says spam. Talk to me when you're ready to be like, hey, Apostle, no, I'm actually going crazy. I'm hearing voices as we speak. I'm quite horny, and I love going to Rothschild's. They got this new vodka out, and I'm just really, really, really tempted to go there. Matter of fact, had you not shook my hand, I was going to get high. But thank you very much. You know what I say? All right, you're ready for healing. You're ready for restoration. Don't try to impress me. I have not died on nobody's cross for you, and I don't take your sin personal. You sinning against Jesus. I'm going to heaven whether you want to or not. You may as well tell the truth. How is life? Awful. Okay. Ask anybody that knows me. I love that. What'd you do last night? I got scummy drunk. Matter of fact, I'm looking at you and can't see nothing. I love that type of talk. I'm like, my man, come here, let me love on you. I'm more afraid of you people that have to tell multiple lies to protect one. Because you know, if you have a fundamental lie, you have to lie about a lot of stuff around it to protect it. And you know the death fear is that in connection, you would really realize you have nothing to lie about. That's the crime. You ain't got nothing to lie about. Many of you that can't take rebuke well from leaders don't have good friends. Because by the time your leader rebukes you, it should sound very similar to how your friends have been channeling your correction. By the time an authority figure says, hey, this is out of order, you should be like, yeah, I know. I've been hearing it. But if a leader comes to you and something, you're like, I am appalled. I know somebody around you is lying to you. They should condition you for high-level correction. If you're not connected, you can't be corrected. You can't be brought to life. You can't go to the future. The greatest impartation, in my opinion, is not the hand on head. And the greatest impartation is not the anointing of oil. The greatest impartation is life on life. I can look at who you doing life with and tell you where yours is headed. Unless you are on assignment to be the source of healing for somebody, what they're going to do is mirror your next moments. You keep on taking advice from broke people, y'all gonna have more in common than what you realize in just a moment. You keep on laughing and joking around the subject of lust with folk who are not interested in coming out. Can I give you a mystery? Can I show you a mystery? You grow reprobate through your relationships. Ooh, I wish I had the time. People are not born reprobate. And that's not somewhere you just wake up reprobate. You are reprobate because of the consistent counsel you won't hear. And then you got counsel around you that's starting to reinforce deception, and you start to have more faith in that than the truth. And then God turns you over to what you like to hear. Be careful with that stuff. You get mad with one group and now all of a sudden you the disgruntled daughters, the sifted sons, all y'all rebellious, wicked, full of evil, lust, witchcraft, drunkenness, marijuana orgies. And you're sitting there like, all right. Give it a year. Give it a year. And you look back like, I was making this money. I was dating this guy, this girl. I was about to move. I had all this stuff happen to me. And you like, what did I do? Them! That's what you did. Every single man in here that wants a wife should be trying to connect with happily married men. Every married man that's trying to get better at being a married man should be around married men. Don't mean you can't have single men, but you need somebody counseling you out of what's normal marriage issues so that you don't put that pressure on you. I get concerned for you wives whose best friend and only friend is your husband. You're going to make that man miserable whether he tell you the truth or not. Listen, Sadie. That's why you nag. My wife nags one time a month. That's it. Other than that, she don't nag. You know why? She got a zillion friends that she had since she was 2, on up now. So a lot of her life frustrations, I don't care to hear. So by the time we get home, I can sleep, she can sleep, we can get along. Because everything she mad about, if she get mad, I don't even know if she do, but everything she get mad and frustrated about, that's sister talk. Your husband ain't your sister. If you want to get married because you want somebody to talk to about your problems, you're going to drive. Oh, wait. All right. Okay. Some of y'all grabbed him right and you better not ever say, man, you are my world. You are all I need to get by. Sweet morning dew. Look at you. You are my destiny. Brother, you dating Carrie. Y'all laughing at you. They're all laughing at you. And when you got a suspicious girlfriend, they make you sick because you got to pastor them. I wish I had help. You got to walk them through their fears to try to love them. That's not my job. How many of you don't want a man? You want a pastor? You're going to be my helpmeet. I can't be trying to heal you. Well, I know I'm right about it. I'm either sleep with you or be your shepherd. I'm not going to do both. So I don't care what they tell you in America, shepherd don't sleep with sheep. I'm working in here. Get connected. It'll help you be better. Women, strongly encourage your men to go out. If they are bums, I'm trying to give you wisdom. And you got to stay in this house with me. You've been with them boys. Oh, keep on. I'm telling you right now, keep on. He gonna haul off and steal off you one day. I'm telling you what I know. You don't like it. I'm being honest. All of them frustrations are not wife frustrations. You want that man to have some brother time. If you a man who is a bum, because you thought I was just gonna slap the sisters, now I'm coming for you too. If you are miserable Mark, lonely Larry, and you just like, come home from work, take your belt off and get your beer, watch a game, put your feet on the little sofa, and that's all you do every day. Number one, get ready to be dumb. That's number one. You're going to find that you're not going to be more intelligent than what you are. You're going to grow stupid. It's going to be a gradual growth because your brain is going to be taken down by all of the stuff you're watching on TV. That's number one. Number two, you're going to get depressed. Step number one is dumb. Step number two is depressed. Because what's going to happen is all of the pain, listen, all of the pain you postponed from your mama, your daddy, your grandmama, your career that didn't go nowhere, and all of them other things that you don't talk to nobody about, now they're going to start working on you in between halftime. So then you're going to start letting yourself go. Looking a mess. And she gonna be talking to her sisters about your breath. Hold on, prophet. She gonna start telling her sisters about how she irritated with you. She gonna start whispering to the folk around you, hey, tell him to go to the gym. He's sitting up, he can't even move around. Please help him. Y'all in gatherings and you notice your wife is on the side whispering to your friends, I promise they're talking about you. He boring. He don't ever do nothing. You need men. Y'all got to be connected. Finally, my brethren, I don't suggest trying to be connected with folk you were in sin with. If you're former lovers, you should not be future brothers. If you're former sisters, you should not now be in the same squad. Here's why. You gave them your vulnerability in a moment of insanity. So now when you make decisions to be whole, they know where your birthmark is. And although they're silent now, the devil got a way of resurrecting old stuff in critical seasons. They'll be quiet as long as you ain't doing nothing. Here you go. My new book, Righteously Ransomed in Revelation. Join me from my webinar. And here she go. All the way from, I know, all the way from 1999. Oh, you writing a book? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. You had a book? Remember me? Don't connect with people like y'all just moved on. No, that happened. All right, let me pray. Y'all Aaron, they are sitting here like, get him home. I mean, appreciate your summer body. It's the truth. Put your hand on your heart real quick. Here's what I hear from the Lord. Oh, I hear this so strongly. What I hear from the Lord is delivering you from people who are using you. Listen. Some of them don't even know it. Some of them know it and won't admit it. Some of you are using people. It's not just emotionally, it's financially, relationally. And the enemy wants you drained. But you need to be delivered from people that are using you. Next week, we're going to talk about the story of Naaman and how you can be anointed of God, called of God, and have a flaw that don't go nowhere. You need to be very careful of people that use your feelings to justify their actions, your experiences to justify their behavior, the intent of your heart to hide the direction of theirs. It's very possible. Be very careful of people who didn't connect to you in a winning season. Found you when you were low and mad and lied. I always been trying to connect to you. Why you wait till I was mad? Be very careful about that stuff. Because the devil is trying to send people. I'm saying this to you as a prophetic warning. He's trying to send people to you to use you. Some of you women of God are being used sexually. It's usury. It's usury. There's some men who have no intentions on going to the future with you. They just like company. Whew. There's some women in here where there are women around you that are trying to pursue you for your credibility. They want how people see you. They want how they look at you. They want your opportunity. So they figure if they can't get it, they'll get close enough to it so that hopefully they'll be seen the same way. But what I'm praying over you right now is that at the month of June, you learn to guard your heart. That you guard your heart and not be disappointed by your own expectations, by your own definitions, or by prior experiences. Father, as we lay hands on our hearts, I'm asking that you would revive the desire, the capacity for connection. The capacity for connection. Begin to open up areas in us that allow us to connect at the next level. And help us, oh God, not to just be connected at the level of victory, but at the level of defeat. And not at the level of ministry, but at the level of humanity. And not at the level of ascent, but at the valley level. That we need valley level connections, mountaintop connections, transitional connections. In Jesus' name, amen.